Hello and welcome to the next Lukozer retro game review video, and for this one it's something a bit different, which should become apparent fairly quickly, but if not, well, I'll be explaining in due course. This is a game called Enter the Ninja, which, as you can see here, was released in 1987 by Mastertronic. And as you may have also been able to deduce, if you are familiar with Mastertronic games, this looks very much like it was made using the Games Creator software. And well, when we get a game underway, you will see instantly that yes, it was. Here we go. So you are this fucking fat cunt here in this in these white, like, I don't know, fucking whatever, I suppose it must be kung fu outfit, and you are throwing shurikens at everyone and everything that comes past you or towards you, and that's the entire game. This is all you do for the whole fucking thing. There we go. So, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that this game's a fucking load of shit. I mean, look at it. I mean, graphically, staggeringly fucking basic. 1987. And this is what the graphics look like. Okay, let's get another game underway. On top of that then, I've done the graphics, they're shit. Audio. This music is fucking horrendous. Yeah, but I mean, it is typical. Well, everything about this is typical Games Creator fodder. But yeah, the audio in particular. So you had this fucking irritating, monotonous tune playing throughout. The only other sound effect is when you throw your shuriken, which it just does not fucking sound right at all, or at least it wouldn't if it wasn't for the fact that your shuriken travels so slowly. You sort of think, yeah, okay, that shit sound effect does really suit it, because it just barely moves. Speaking of barely moving, your character is staggeringly slow. He sort of plods around the fucking screen like fuck knows, like fucking, you know, like he's made of concrete. And in the meantime, all of the other ninjas and whatever the fucking else they are meant to be, all wander around the fucking screen like fucking lightning, especially the ninja in the white suit there. And it means that a lot of the time, no matter how quickly you react, you cannot avoid like the shots or the nunchuckers that come along, or the fucking you know, enemies if they happen to come into your eye line. You cannot avoid them. Animation is abysmal. Your character has 2 frames of animation. That is it. And I mean, the other ninjas on the screen, I think they may have as many as 3 or even 4 frames of animation. This one coming towards me only had 2. So it looks like shit. it sounds like shit, and it plays like shit. Not really all that surprising, I suppose, when you consider it's a games creator title. But well, what can you say? Well, you could say that, quite frankly, by releasing this in 1987, Mastertronic were just saying a big fuck you to everybody who had a Commodore 64. At least you would say that if it was even remotely believable that this was released by Mastertronic. I don't think for one instant it was. By 1987, Mastertronic games were infinitely more, developed, more detailed than this. They looked better. Rob Hubbard's soundtracks are almost standard for Mastertronic games by this time, whether it be on the Mastertronic label itself or on the Mad label, on the Bulldog label, on the Americana label, or whatever. They were also getting in plenty of like decent programmers, people like Sean Sutton, because of course he did the two Kickstart games. Kickstart 2 came out the same year as this. And he also did Hero of the Golden Talisman, which was completely different to any other game he had done at the time, but it was great. This is very much in the mould of the sort of games that Mastertronic were publishing when they first started in 84. Now in 84, they sort of got away with it because the very idea of releasing a game for $1.99 was unheard of. Prior to Mastertronic coming along, a cheap game was like $6.50. So nobody ever thought, for $1.99, nobody thought that was ever going to happen. Mastertronic came along and did so. Yes, their games were fucking basic. They were all made using this games creator software. But the fact that you could get them for $1.99, so much cheaper than any other sort of game, meant that people were quite happy to get a very basic game because they didn't have to pay much money for it. So by 86... that had completely changed. Even just the following year, in 85, most Mastertronic games were made, they didn't use the Games Creator software. And by 86, it had been completely abandoned. Of course, Mastertronic themselves had basically kickstarted the whole budget game sort of price point, and you had Firebird come along, and I'm sure there are plenty of other labels which I just cannot remember at the moment, but Mastertronic always remained the top label. They were the best sellers. They had the biggest variety of games, and deservedly so. I think this is somebody had got the Games Creator software, and this is what they had created, because we'll start another game. Now take a look at your main character here. Now if you either owned the game back in the day or have seen my review of it, I remind you of a game called Mind Control, which was released in 84, I'm pretty sure it was. The character that you control here is identical. I say identical. What they've done, they've changed the colours to him so that they've made the body and the arms and that white to make it look like he's wearing a some sort of karate or kung fu bloody outfit. But the actual, like, the face and that, the proportions, everything else are identical to the main sprite in Mind Control, as is the shitty 2-frame animation when you move. If you are not familiar with it, as I say, I reviewed it ages ago. My review is somewhere in the channel, just use the search option. So what they've done is they've lifted the Mind Control sprite, which I seem to recall it was one of the default sprites you could use if you were just like poncing about in the Games Creator program. So they haven't exactly gone overboard with trying to do something new there. They just changed the clothes, for lack of a better description. Now, presumably, this cunt who was, experimenting in Games Creator was thinking, oh yeah, I've made something great here. And he was showing it off to people who, of course, quite rightly all said to him, this is fucking shit, mate, You can't seriously be proud of this, it's a fucking load of bollocks. And because so many people told him this, he finally realised, okay, yeah, alright, it's a fucking load of shit, this thing. So instead of, just getting rid of it and all that, and, learning from it, no, what he's done is try to palm it off on someone else and give them the blame. So he's now come along and said, oh, it's a Mastertronic game, thinking that Mastertronic, oh yeah, they were the company that started using Games Creator. I can say it was by them. Except, of course, he said that it was made in '87, and Mastertronic had long since stopped using Games Creator by that time. I mean, you look at it, that high score bit doesn't even work. And no matter how basic a game Mastertronic made in '84, they didn't fuck up the high score. It's just a simple routine where it just shows the best score and puts it there. Here it just doesn't do anything. It never shows a high score at all. So this cunt not only has made a game that's utter shit, he's also shown that he can't even use the fucking Games Creator software that well. And so, yeah, he's basically tried to palm it off onto Mastertronic and say, oh yeah, it was a Mastertronic game. Because Mastertronic always released games using Games Creator. They never made anything else. Fuck off. We're not that fucking stupid. I mean, another giveaway of, or what convinces me that this is the case, is that this game has had, a couple of videos in on YouTube. I know it's on the Main Meister channel, but not as a game in itself. It's in a video of the 10 worst budget games ever released. And it's in a couple of other rather short videos on YouTube by people who I haven't got a fuck's clue who they are. And it's even on the Lemon 64 site there. But none of them show a cover design. And also, I can't remember, Witchfinder something or other. He doesn't so much now, but he did an entire playlist where he was playing every single Mastertronic game. And part of his intro, because he was playing it on actual Commodore 64 hardware, not through an emulator like I do, he would always show the packaging and obviously, of course, the cover design. But he didn't do this game. And if this game was around, I mean, he covered every fucking Mastertronic game there is, including all of the absolute shits that they released. You know, he reviewed Super Trolley, he reviewed Speed Zone. You know, so he would have covered this, but he didn't. But yeah, there's no sign of a cover design anywhere. I cannot find it at all. And that was one of the things that got me thinking, alright, hang on, this I think is bullshit. And I still believe that it is bullshit. This is not a Mastertronic game. It could well have been written in '87. But yeah, it was not made by David or Richard Darling, and whenever a game was released by Mastertronic that used the Games Creator software, it was always made by one of those two. They didn't do this. So I have no idea who it is who did it, but after being told, clearly being told over and over again, this game you've made is a fucking load of shit, he has then decided to palm it off and say it was somebody else and say it was Mastertronic who made it, not him. So I score this fuck off you cunt for trying to pass the blame for this load of bollocks to Mastertronic when in fact it's entirely you who is responsible. Out of 10. Fuck knows what sort of numerical value that is, but that's what it gets. Because we'll have one last go at this absolute shite. So, I mean, I don't know if the person who made this is watching. I hope you are, but yeah, if you are, this is aimed entirely at you. You are a fucking cunt for creating a game that you clearly know is a fucking load of bollocks, and then try to blame other people for it when in fact what it's showing is your fucking use. Oh, who's the cunt with the fucking fireworks out there? Some cunt is lighting them up from the streets. No, it's not. That's going on for a fucking long time. That's not quite to the ending I had in mind. But yes, as I was saying, you who made this fucking load of shite, yeah, don't palm it off on somebody else. Admit that you're a fucking useless game creator and that this is your responsibility, not Mastertronic's, you fucking little fucking tossmonger. Right, that brings this review to an end. And hopefully I won't get too many more fucking fireworks going off. It's not even that dark out. So yeah, that brings this review to an end, and we will see you at the next one.